The soda fountain was more than just a place to eat. It was a part of everyday life. Families stopped by after church, kids rode bikes to meet friends, and couples shared their first dates over milkshakes. Birthdays were celebrated with giant sundaes, candles glowing as everyone sang. It was safe, friendly, and warm, the kind of place where everyone knew your name, and the staff knew just how you liked your soda. Even on quiet afternoons, there was a sense of magic in the air, a soft hum of happiness that made you want to stay a little longer. Those days may be gone, but for some of us, they still live on, in the heart, in the quiet moments, and in the memories we never let go. Back in the 1950s, stepping into a soda fountain felt like stepping into a little world of happiness. The heavy glass door would swing open with a cheerful bell, and instantly the cool blast of air-conditioned air and the sweet scent of chocolate syrup and vanilla ice cream would hit you. Rows of red vinyl stools lined the counter, each one spinning just right for a kid to hop on and swivel endlessly. The jukebox in the corner always had something playing: Elvis, Buddy Holly, or the Everly Brothers. Soda jerks behind the counter, dressed in crisp white uniforms and paper hats, would expertly mix milkshakes and egg creams, sliding them down the polished counter with a wink and a smile. Kids sat sipping cherry cokes and sharing sundaes, while couples in Letterman jackets and poodle skirts laughed over banana splits. Every corner of the soda fountain was alive with the clinking of spoons, the fizz of soda fountains, and the murmur of friendly conversation. The floor tiles gleamed black and white under the soft yellow light, and shelves behind the counter held jars of colorful candy: Jawbreakers, red licorice, and penny candy. For just a quarter, you could get a grilled cheese sandwich, a Coke, and maybe even a comic book to read. It wasn't just a store, it was a gathering place, a slice of small-town America where everyone felt welcome. At the heart of every soda fountain was the soda jerk. Not just a worker, but a showman. With a flick of the wrist and a smile, he could whip up the creamiest root beer float or the frothiest chocolate malt. His hands moved fast, pulling levers, scooping ice cream, and pouring syrups in just the right amounts. Watching him was like watching a magician at work. The clink of ice in tall glasses and the whir of the malt mixer filled the room, blending perfectly with the jukebox tunes. He'd slide a milkshake down the counter with a nod, as if to say, "This one's made just for you." Behind him, shelves of glass syrup bottles glistened: strawberry, vanilla, chocolate, and lime, each one a promise of something delicious. The soda jerk knew your name, your favorite treat, and maybe even your secret crush. He'd give a wink as you shared a float with a friend, adding a little whipped cream on top just for fun. For many, he was part of growing up, part of those sunny afternoons when time felt endless, and the biggest decision was whether to have a chocolate malt or a cherry phosphate. There was something magical about the soda fountain menu, a mix of sweets and savories that only existed in that time. You could order a hot fudge sundae with extra whipped cream, or maybe a chocolate egg cream that fizzed and foamed just right. Some kids went straight for the ice cream sodas, root beer with vanilla or lime with sherbet. Older folks might order a club sandwich or a patty melt with a side of golden fries, all served in paper-lined baskets. No one was in a hurry. You sat and laughed and nibbled, sometimes for hours. The atmosphere was casual, friendly, and buzzing with the energy of people just enjoying simple things. And right there on the wall, a chalkboard listed the day's specials, often written in cursive with colorful chalk. It was the kind of place where time slowed down
and the world outside faded away for a little while. The menu was simple, but every bite came with a side of joy.
Even the little details made the soda fountain unforgettable. The way straws came in bright paper wrappers, the napkin holders that clicked just right, and the sound of the cash register ringing up someone's 35-cent bill. There were glass jars of peanuts and sometimes even little prizes for kids, plastic rings, stickers, or bubble gum in twisty wrappers. The soda fountain wasn't just about food. It was about atmosphere, about feeling like you belonged. Teenagers would hang out for hours, leaning against the jukebox, playing their favorite songs for a dime. Laughter echoed off the tiled walls, and friendships were made that lasted a lifetime. Sometimes local musicians would play, adding to the community vibe. It was a hub of joy, small-town spirit, and a sense that life was sweeter back then.
Summer days in the 1950s were made for backyard games. Children would gather with friends, siblings, and neighbors to play tag, hide and seek, and Red Rover until the sun dipped low in the sky. Their laughter echoed through the neighborhood, mixing with the chirping of birds and the distant hum of lawnmowers. No need for expensive toys, just imagination and the wide open space behind the house. Boys often played with wooden toy guns or spun hula hoops, while girls skipped rope or played hopscotch chalked onto the sidewalk. The grass was real, sometimes patchy, sometimes muddy, but nobody cared about getting dirty. There was freedom in the air. Parents watched from porches, sipping lemonade and chatting with neighbors. A trusty radio played the latest hits or baseball games, and the world felt peaceful, safe, and full of joy. It was childhood at its best, simple, spontaneous, and unforgettable.
Homemade play sets were the pride of many 1950s backyards. Wooden tree houses, rope swings, and makeshift seesaws made from planks and barrels turned any yard into an adventure land. Dads would build these with their own hands, and kids would spend hours climbing, swinging, and inventing stories about pirates, astronauts, or jungle explorers. Old tires became swings, and wooden crates were transformed into forts or stores where kids traded marbles or comic books. The scent of freshly cut lumber and the creak of old rope created a world all its own. Barefoot and carefree, children would race to be the first up the treehouse or the fastest on the swing, yelling, "Higher! Higher!" The freedom to play without screens or supervision created bonds and memories that lasted a lifetime.
Water games brought everyone together. Sprinklers were set up on the lawn, and kids would dash through them, screaming with laughter as cool water sprayed their sun-warmed skin. Sometimes parents would even join in, chasing little ones with buckets or hoses in friendly backyard water fights. There were no water parks, just the joy of running barefoot in the grass and feeling the splash of hose water on a hot day. The air smelled of wet grass and summer freedom. Mothers would lay out towels on the clothesline or over lawn chairs for kids to dry off. And sometimes popsicles or ice cream bars were handed out, melting faster than you could eat them. It was pure, simple joy, the kind of fun that didn't need tickets or planning. Gardening was part of daily life. Parents often planted flowers, vegetables, or fruit trees in their yards, and kids helped dig in the dirt, water the plants, and pick ripe tomatoes or strawberries. It wasn't a chore, it was family time. Rows of marigolds and roses lined the fences, while small patches of corn, beans, or carrots grew in backyard beds. The smell of soil, the hum of bees, and the feeling of hands in the dirt brought everyone closer to nature. Sometimes, kids made mud pies or caught ladybugs and earthworms, marveling at the tiny world around them. The garden was a place to learn, to play, and to grow together.
Evenings were the most magical. As dusk settled,
Families would gather in the backyard for cookouts, hot dogs sizzling on the grill, corn roasting, and the scent of charcoal filling the air. Kids chased fireflies with glass jars, while parents relaxed with cold drinks, sharing stories under fading skies. The air cooled, and the first stars began to twinkle. Someone might bring out a guitar, and soft tunes floated through the yard. Laughter, the crackle of the grill, and the chirping of crickets created a soundtrack of summer peace. When bedtime neared, kids would stretch out on blankets, tired but happy, counting stars and dreaming of tomorrow's adventures. These backyard nights weren't fancy, but they were filled with love, joy, and the warmth of togetherness. Those moments, we'll never see them again, but they live forever in our hearts.
One of the most charming sights in a 1950s soda fountain was the glass cake stand sitting on the counter. Underneath its domed lid, you'd find tall layer cakes frosted in thick swirls of buttercream, or pies with golden flaky crusts. Chocolate, lemon meringue, and coconut cream, all homemade and tempting. Customers would gaze at the display before ordering a slice to go with their coffee or soda. The server would carefully lift the glass lid, cut a generous wedge, and place it on a porcelain plate with a little paper doily. It wasn't just about dessert. It was about slowing down and enjoying a moment of sweetness in the middle of the day. Kids pressed their noses against the glass, adults lingered over cake and conversation, and in that small moment, life felt a little sweeter, a little slower, and a lot more special. Music played a key role in the magic of soda fountains. In the corner stood a shiny jukebox, its colorful lights flashing as records dropped into place. Customers would walk up, flip through the song list, and for a dime, play their favorite tune. Maybe Elvis, Patsy Cline, or Buddy Holly. The jukebox created a soundtrack for friendships, dates, and lazy afternoons. Teens danced near their booths or sang along softly as they sipped their sodas. The music was part of the experience, joyful, familiar, and always playing in the background. Sometimes a favorite song would spark a memory, a smile, or even a spontaneous dance. In those moments, the soda fountain felt less like a shop and more like a living memory filled with rhythm and happiness that lingered long after the song ended. Many soda fountains had a pinball machine or two tucked into a corner, a favorite pastime for kids and teens. The colorful machines flashed and dinged with every hit, and players lined up quarters for their next turn. Pinball was more than a game. It was a challenge, a bit of friendly competition, and a way to pass the time with friends. The sound of the flippers, the rolling ball, and the occasional shout of excitement filled the air. Even parents sometimes took a turn, laughing as they tried to beat their kids' high scores. The pinball machine was a small part of the soda fountain, but it added big fun to every visit. Many soda fountains had a pinball machine or two tucked into a corner, a favorite pastime for kids and teens. The colorful machines flashed and dinged with every hit, and players lined up quarters for their next turn. Pinball was more than a game. It was a challenge, a bit of friendly competition, and a way to pass the time with friends. The sound of the flippers, the rolling ball, and the occasional shout of excitement filled the air. Even parents sometimes took a turn, laughing as they tried to beat their kids' high scores. The pinball machine was a small part of the soda fountain, but it added big fun to every visit.
Some soda fountains had small toy displays or gumball machines near the door. Kids would beg for a penny or a nickel to turn the crank and get a treat. Maybe a colorful gumball, a tiny toy, or a plastic ring. These little surprises made every visit special. The machines clicked and clumped, delivering joy in a small capsule. Next to them, there might be postcards or trinkets for sale, each with that nostalgic charm of a bygone era. Parents smiled as their kids excitedly showed off their prize, and for many, that tiny toy became a treasured memory of happy times at the soda fountain.